What is going on, Figuring It Out Finance listeners? My name is Chris Rickenbaugh, and I am back again with the Figuring It Out Finance podcast, episode number 95. So if you haven't listened to me before, I am using this podcast to document my real estate journey and business journey while also talking a little bit about travel hacking and personal finance. So you can go find everything out about me on figuringitoutfinance.com, where you'll have all the links to wherever you listen to podcasts. And then you can go follow me on Instagram and TikTok, where I post daily about what I'm doing throughout the day in my real estate business. So I am posting this podcast on Christmas Eve, and I just wanted to talk about two impactful books that I've been reading recently and have completely shifted my mindset, because I feel like these two books are really going to be able to help me grow and expand my mindset. So, two books. I'm going to talk about my favorite one last. So the current one I'm reading is Main Street Millionaire, and then the last one is 10X It's Easier Than 2X. So I'm currently reading Main Street Millionaire, and this is something that I've heard a lot of different people talking about. So I've listened to Cody Sanchez on Brandon Turner's podcast, the Better Life podcast, and that's where I got to meet Camp Cathcart. I joined his Deal Flow mentorship, and he had Cody Sanchez on, who was talking about boring businesses. Now, at that time, I really wasn't super interested in business, because I'm like, well, it's like I'm in real estate, I'm not in business, but real estate is a business. So the more I started, looking into her, Brandon kept having more people on the Better Life podcast talking about business and business and business. So, you start kind of falling into that line. So that's where it led me to Brian Lubin, to where his whole community is helping you buy businesses and replacing corporate with cash flow. And it's by buying these small businesses. So, Cody Sanchez's buying businesses was, what I needed, because I've been reading so many real estate books and business books, and it's all kind of the same information, like habits. It's, just the same song, just kind of on repeat, told in a different way, to where now I felt like Main Street Millionaire was something that was completely different that I was reading. Like, it was brand new information, and it basically walks you through the idea of, why these smaller businesses produce a little bit more cash flow and they're better opportunities, and, replacing or you're going to be a lot better off by purchasing these small businesses. And, the more I listen to podcasts, I'm open to this idea of, I need to be actually looking at businesses instead of just real estate, because the real estate game is getting a little bit harder. You can't just buy a rental with 20% down and then have it cash flow, because you're only going to be getting at the best, probably $500 in cash flow. You're going to have so many rentals to be able to replace your income, where purchasing a business, you're going to be able to, purchase something right away that probably pays you over $10,000 a month. And it's going to be able to replace your income basically on one purchase. Now, there's a little bit more work to it, but it's a lot like a real estate purchase, just with some different steps and different terms. So that's what Main Street Millionaire breaks down. Cody Sanchez does a great job in the book of kind of making it humorous, but now I'm in that last half of the book, because the first half, they're kind of explaining why you should be looking at these businesses, why are people looking to sell these businesses, and then some creative strategies on acquiring them. So it's a lot of what I was listening to in real estate is just about a different topic. So it's kind of the same thing altogether. But now I'm in this last half of the book, to where they're talking about the actual physical steps of acquiring these businesses, like letter of intent, and then going through the steps and negotiating the financing, like seller financing, same type of deal in real estate, to where, it's probably not something I would just go out and buy something right away, because you do need a little bit of money, to lawyers and all of these different things. But just being able to understand that part of the game, I was actually listening to a podcast. It was recorded just a little over a year ago at this time, and he's like, yeah, it was the big real estate person, and they're talking about, their funds, and it's like, are you still going to be buying real estate? It's like, well, yeah, I'm still going to be buying real estate, but they're using part of that fund now to start buying businesses. And it's like, oh, that's super interesting. It's like, I should probably, maybe not start doing that because they're at a different level, but maybe I should give that a look. So, you're just being able to add tools to your tool belt by reading these different books. And that's what Cody Sanchez and Main Street Millionaire is doing for me. It's just kind of giving me another tool in my tool belt, because if I hadn't listened to them, I wouldn't have, I saw for this perfect example, I saw a for sale by owner sign on a commercial building. And I'm like, I wonder if that's for a car or a building. And I'm like, well, if I'm back around in town, then I'll take a picture of it. So I ended up back in that town, like a week later, and I'm like, I still saw the sign. I pulled over, took a picture of it, called the guy the next day, and we had a great conversation. He's like, yeah, man, I'm looking to sell the building, and we rented for this and this. And me and him had a really good hour and a half walkthrough to where we, talked through things and got to meet him. It wasn't a great fit for me at that time, but we talked through this different seller financing opportunities, how to rent it out, his story, and then he may even become a private lender for me in the real estate game. So TBD on that one. But, it opened me up to say, well, maybe I should just call and educate myself about that. So buying businesses, that's something, just keeping my eye out for. It's not taking me away from real estate in any way, but it's definitely something on the horizon for me that I could go down that road. But moving on to the second book. So this one has had such a huge impact on me because, again, you're reading a lot of these mindset books. So I just finished 10X, and then I moved on to 10X is easier than 2X. And it really breaks down the mindset that, 2X. So I'm going to relate it back to the business I was working in before I quit, because what they were doing, they were working themselves to about 110%. So their idea was to, get somebody else in, bring them to 110%, and then hire the next person. And that's just 2X thinking. We bring in another person, we're going to, multiply our profits by this much. They're basically going to be another one of us, and then we add another person. So that is not great thinking because it's going to take so much time. So if you don't have the systems and processes, you're just 2Xing everything because you're like, oh, well, we'll just do more. Where 10X, it's like, how would you go from 100,000 a year to 1 million a year? That is a completely different question, and you're going to have to say, well, I would just have to be doing something completely different and uproot my business and figure out a different way to be able to, go after that 10 million and be able to handle a 10 million or a $1 million business. So the whole idea is thinking in 10X is going to completely change your idea and thinking on how to run your business with its systems and operations, because you're not just trying to, they talked about a salesperson going from making $100,000 a year. It's like, well, I'd like to make like 105, 110 next year and maybe bump it up the next year. It's like, that's completely off. It's like, you're going from $100,000 a year. How are you going to go make $500,000 a year? It's like, well, doing the same thing and just doubling your efforts isn't going to be able to do that. You're going to have to completely change what you're doing to be able to go after that 10X goal. So when you reset that 10X goal and go for that bigger number, what's going to happen is you're easily going to surpass whatever you were doing before, whatever your 2X goal is going to be, because you're operating with a different standard and a different level. Because, even at 2X, let's say you go out and make $150,000 after the 100, and your 10X thinking, you completely uproot your business, you're going to be making, $400,000. Even if you don't hit that 10X goal, you're still operating on a higher level to be able to, get to that 10x level. And that's what it really made me think about, because, I did six deals this year in real estate, and I'm like, all right, well, I want to do 50 next year. So me doing what I'm doing right now, which is, hunting around on Zillow, talking to some wholesalers, being in some Facebook groups, that's not going to be able to get me to 50. That might get me probably 15 to 20, which is just 2xing. It'd be 4xing, but it's probably just 4xing whatever I'm doing. And that's if I really grind. And that's doing what I'm doing right now. So I have to completely change everything that I'm doing to be able to go after 50 homes this year. So I'm going to make another podcast episode on how I'm doing that, but how am I going to be able to, get to that 10x level and hit 50 houses this year? Well, first, I'm not going to be able to do that myself. I'm going to have to hire it out. We're going to have multiple projects going on at all times, and doing 50 flips with the crews that we have probably isn't going to be able to get it done. So some of those are going to have to be probably wholesales, probably sub 2. We're going to have to get creative on how we're getting these deals done and how we're doing them. Maybe it's an ovation, because say a normal project takes a month to do, we're going to be having to get out of our comfort zone, or find cheaper deals that we can get into. So that is going to start our own wholesaling. So hiring out cold callers, calling, people in neighborhoods that we've been in that we really like, and just hammering them, trying to get more of these opportunities. So I would have to change pretty much what I'm doing now to where I'm the one finding it, or if I have a wholesaler bringing it to me, and I'm going to have a lot more money. So that is the 10x thinking, and that's what it's really pushed me out towards, because what I'm doing right now, it's like, well, I did 6 this year. It'd be cool to do like 15 next year. It's like, that's just 2xing, and it's going to drive me to the limit, to where if I bring in employees and go for 50, I'm going to make a lot more money. It's going to be a lot different game, and I'm going to easily surpass or pass that goal of 20 homes. So I really, really love that 10x is easier than 2x, and go check out that book, as well as Main Street Millionaire. And you're listening to this on Christmas Eve. That's when this podcast is going to drop. So, head into the new year with these 2 books, and I will see you on the next episode after Christmas, and we'll be talking about opportunity costs. So, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next podcast.